everybody, and welcome to Viewing Angles, the only movie podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and now Spotify.
Hell yeah.
I'm your A host, Robert Mecki, and with me today
is your B host. It's me. It's Dan.
It's Dan. It's Dan, everybody.
I'm your fucking B host today.
Woo! It's going to be a good episode.
Yeah.
Get excited. We're talking about Venom today.
It's truly a magical time to be alive. Only for movies, though.
Only for movies, yeah. If you ignore everything else happening in the world, we finally got a Venom movie where Venom, played by Tom Hardy, eats his own ass. So thank God for that.
This is a no spoiler episode, Rob.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
I would love you to please keep it to yourself.
I will remember that in future Venom spoilers.
Which there will be many. Oh my God, what a great
There
movie.
will be so many.
Yeah, we
what
saw
an experience.
we
What a
s-
truly magical experience.
That could be said for both of the movies we saw this weekend. Because what's special about this episode, Rob?
We're doing a double feature review. So we're skipping a feature. We've never done that before. But we're reviewing Venom and A Star Is Born because these are both movies that deserve to be talked about at length.
Oh, and I've got a really good feature for next week. So everybody listen to it. It's going to be something about...
titillate the audience.
Yeah, I'll titillate it. It will be a little thinky conversation piece about how we use violence in movies. So really, everybody should kind of think on that and put your provocative hat on.
Holy shit. Are you a fucking YouTuber with like 6,000 subscribers, man? I can't wait to watch your video essays.
No video
so
essays,
good.
just me talking because that's so much easier, question mark?
It's you talking with a picture of just Venom in the background.
Yeah.
Eating his own ass.
Just a still
for 16
image.
minutes.
Yeah. All good video essays are under 12 minutes. We all know this.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of 12 minutes, let's try to get through the box office numbers before we hit the 12-minute mark on this episode.
We can definitely do it.
All right, I'm going to go for it. Box office weekend numbers. We got Venom coming in with a pretty massive $80 million.
Oh my God, that's a lot of money.
That is a shit ton of money, especially for an October movie.
It broke the record, right? The previous record was Gravity with 55 million.
Which I didn't know. Like, I didn't realize Gravity performed that well either.
Yo, did you see Gravity in theaters, though?
I did. Yeah, that's the only way to see Gravity. If you watch Gravity in your house, you're a boring person. You eat white bread and water for lunch every day.
Yeah.
That movie is not meant to be watched in your own home.
I've seen that movie once in 3D at a movie theater, and I can't imagine it being any good in any other environment.
Exactly.
Given that,
I feel like
it was amazing.
We probably saw it together. It was amazing, and again, it's amazing only in that setting.
Mm-hmm.
If it ever comes back to theaters, if it ever pulls a James Cameron and re-releases in like 4D, I will see it again in theaters.
Oh, definitely.
But I am not watching that. Like, that movie, I don't think is good enough to watch at home. I don't care how big your TV screen is.
Yeah, or even I feel like 3D TVs like aren't a big thing anymore. I feel like they were for like a solid 5 years when you'd go over to your like rich friend's house and they'd have like,
that's exactly what they were good for.
I've got a 3D TV, and it's like, well, how many glasses you got? Like 2, and we lost both of them because our cats ate them.
Oh, I forgot to charge my glasses before movie night tonight.
You had to charge them?
You had to charge the glasses.
Oh my gosh.
I had a rich friend who had a 3D TV, and we watched one 3D movie on it. And then every other time we tried to watch it, it was like, oh, not all the glasses are charged. And it's funny because like, I'm not going to name him, but you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Is it Aaron, the guy who committed a felony?
It is. It's the guy. I guess this is public record at this point, but yes, it's him.
Him and his curved ass TV.
His curved ass TV. Curvy as Kim Kardashian.
Oh man, I was just talking to somebody about. Does Aaron listen to this podcast? Do you think?
No.
Oh, thank God. Let's go for it then.
Okay.
I was talking to somebody about Aaron, where it's like, do you know somebody who's like done a felony? Like, where I mean, I guess a felony depends on if you get sentenced, but the fact that. I mean, really, I was more upset about that we had to put our backpacks in the locker room rather than the fact that he committed a felony like grand theft.
Yeah, I didn't give a shit about that. The university had money to cover everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just upset at the way it inconvenienced all of the other workers that weren't committing crimes.
Right, exactly. It's like, so what? He steals like $45,000 worth of merchandise, and then we have to do something? Like,
yeah. Well, also the other part that fucking sucked was how often we had to do inventory.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Total digression, not relating to movies at all.
Right, yeah, but if you want to learn about our friend who committed a felony, please DM us. My Twitter is @TheDanLeo
No. If you want to learn about our friend who committed a felony, join our $5 Patreon tier.
We're about to start a serial-like podcast about the fact that our friend Aaron committed a felony.
I think we should start a serial-like podcast, but dedicated only to like university campus crime, like student crimes.
Oh, that would be actually kind of interesting if you would go to like a campus, be like, so what's like the big story about? Like, what's the big, what's the like the craziest shit you've heard, and then like investigate that stuff to see like what actually happened.
I would be so down. I think we should both retire from our current positions and just start that podcast.
Right, let me
eat your heart out.
Quit my job, pull all of the money out of my 401k, and then we.
It's okay. It's not like starting a podcast requires a lot of overhead.
It kind of does. How much would you say that you've spent in materials that you like kind of need for the podcast?
Well, here's the thing: is all of this stuff I just had. Like, I didn't buy it specifically for the podcast.
Okay. So I'm clearly in like the red way more. Okay, so let me like.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll get in the black soon as soon as we launch that Patreon and we get our merch going.
Well, how much did your mic cost? How much does this mic cost that we have?
$50?
Like $50-$60, yeah. And then how much is the arm, the little and you have a pop filter, right?
I do have a pop filter, but so here's the thing. I got the arm and the pop filter from friend of the show, Elmer, because I actually built his gaming PC. Oh, fine, I won't. Enemy of the show, Elmer.
Public enemy number one.
I built his, I built his gaming PC, and so he paid me by giving me like his extra mic arm and then pop filter for my microphone.
Okay, I get you. And you didn't. Yeah.
I bought this microphone initially because I was like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber and I'm gonna do like video analysis essays that are like 20 minutes and everybody's gonna love it. And that definitely didn't happen. Instead, I used it to do ASMR tricks to like fucking 16-year-olds in Rainbow Six Siege. Yeah. And that's what it mainly gets used for, aside from this podcast.
Right. And that one trailer edit you did of Top Gun to the sabotage to sabotage my Beastie Boys.
Yes.
Which is a great idea for a YouTube series. Is that you recut movies, you make movie trailers, but set them to Sabotage by the Beastie Boys, inspired by the third Star Trek in the reboot. Yeah. What a dumb idea.
Yeah, but it's actually a fun trailer.
Oh no, it is. Yeah,
and that's why I wanted to do it. I need to start doing that. I don't. What movie should I do next? Because the movie I had in mind for the longest time that I never actually took any action on was I was gonna recut the trailer for United 93 and set it to Sabotage.
That would go viral. I think. I think
in all the wrong ways. In today's Twitter culture. People would get upset.
Listen,
but I guess that would also spread the fire. So
that would be, no pun intended. That would be a great movie for a new classics. Because have you seen United 93?
Oh yeah,
it's an amazing movie.
Fucking amazing.
It's an amazing movie, and I have never heard it ever brought up in terms of. I mean, it's a Paul Greengrass movie. For folks who don't know at home, the maker of the Bourne trilogy, Bourne Supremacy and Ultimatum, like a fantastic director, loves the shaky cam, but he made United 93. It's made with like all unknown actors. It's an amazing movie, very difficult to watch, very intense, but holy shit. There is very few ways to pay respect to dramatic things that happen in our history than with documenting them with a really beautiful, intense movie that people can like, hey, you want to see how this probably was? Watch this. And you watch it and you're like, this is something getting very close to how it actually was. Not necessarily the exact sequence of events or exactly what happened, but getting you in the feeling, getting you in the arena. Like, that's really great filmmaking. And Paul Greengrass is not that great. Like, he is okay.
He has a couple good, I think, like, he nails it with that. I think he did a really good job with Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips and Bourne Supremacy and Ultimatum are both like pretty good movies.
Yeah. But I think the reason is that movie doesn't get brought up all that often is I think there's still like a pretty bad stigma surrounding it because how not only that it's difficult, but it came out in like 2004 or 5, like only 4 years after 9/11 actually happened. So everybody still likes to view that movie as like, oh, that's like that exploitation flick of the tragedy. And people they don't give it credit for how much craft is actually put into making it as affecting as it is.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful movie. It's based on the 9/11 Commission report. Like I'm looking at it right now, and it's actually based on the report that Congress initiated.
Oh yeah,
like ordered them to write, and it's great.
Yeah, highly recommend it. Everybody watch that movie if they get a chance. All right, so I got 15 seconds to get through the rest of the box office numbers for 12-minute marks. So, A Star is Born came in at a surprising $42 million. Good job, Lady Gaga. Good job, Bradley Cooper. Third, Smallfoot, $14 million. Nobody gives a shit. Oh, I did it.
All right, let's move on to something completely different. But first off, like, wow, what a lot of money for A Star is Born. All right, what are the trailers, Rob?
The trailers for this week we got the 5-minute extended Aquaman trailer from New York Comic-Con. And let's talk about this because I'm pretty happy with it. And I think the sentiment that I've been seeing online is that a lot of people are getting swayed into liking this movie.
I think I'm the perfect person to talk about this because I didn't like the original Aquaman trailers. Like I really didn't. I was like, I don't know. And this sold me. This 5-minute footage sold me on the movie. I legitimately think it's going to be pretty good at minimum.
What about the trailer sold you? That wasn't in like the original trailer.
One of the big things is the demonstration of that long shot of that long take of the people
the rooftop chase.
Yeah, the rooftop chase. Them chasing Amber Heard's character and then like chasing her throughout this long thing of she's running on top of rooftops. It's all one take, her jumping across all this stuff and then like panning out, leaving her all still in one take and then focusing on Jason Momoa as the building like explodes. And you're like, all right, I forgot James Wan has a great
director.
Understanding of space. He knows how to really focus on people and keep it with them. And this is honestly a really great movie for him, for like a movie that takes place in the water where it's, it's hard to get your bearings if you're thrown in there.
Physics can get fucked. Physics can get totally fucked when you're in the water, so he can do whatever he wants. He can design however crazy of an action sequence he wants, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I think we've seen that this guy can really handle himself, and the material.
What did you think about the? Sorry to cut you off, but I was going to ask about the humor in the trailer. How are you feeling about that?
I really thought it was playing a lot better than it was in the trailers. The whole scene where it's like, oh, you're the closest source of water, and they point it off him, and then he's like. You just showed, like, we could have just peed on it. Like,
I was like, that was so good. I was like, oh, this is kind of cheesy. And then, like, it just undercuts it all. And he's like, oh, I could have just pissed on it, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think that they are going to, like, play off of Momoa's kind of, like, surfer bro, like, vibe.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of people have been kind of shitting on. That, like,
I think it's Joss Whedon's fault.
You think it's Joss Whedon's fault? I
think so.
I can see that.
mean, like, again, I know you haven't seen Justice League yet, but as I was telling you earlier today, like, I put it on in the background over the weekend just because I needed something to, I needed background noise.
Yeah.
And the reshoots and dialogue are so fucking egregious. Like, Joss Whedon, I don't think he's a bad director or a bad writer, but it clashes so hard with what Zack Snyder was trying to set up with that film. And it's so jarring, and it's just... ugh. But at least I think like, with Aquaman, James Wan's Aquaman solo film, I feel like it's going to be a lot more consistent and a lot less jarring when we see Aquaman being Aqua Bro.
Yeah, and I think like Whedon does have a tendency for like the pastiche of being like, oh, here are these traditional roles that people are going to play. Like he loves, I mean, high school for him is like perfect. Like the whole, like when Buffy was in high school and like college, it's like, you got the jocks and all that, like perfect area for him to be in. And so naturally he's going to translate that over to the other like films, and Aquaman being a surfer bro, well, I think is like very characteristic of like Whedon to do. It makes total sense for like, if Aquaman were alive today, he would totally be like Jack Johnson. Like he would be a total bro, like
singing Banana Pancakes everywhere he went. He's got his fucking his like pocket acoustic guitar over his shoulder all the time.
Right. It's like, oh, I love to get like intense. Like I love to ride the waves and the intensity really, but I also like to chill, man. And so let's just play some ukulele, Yeah.
Man. Aside from the action and the humor in this trailer, though, I think one of the things I really liked that we got a little more of was just the set design and the costume design. Like, I love that they're not trying to make it realistic. Like, they've completely shed, like, the Nolan shadow, I think, at this point. Where, like, you've got Aquaman in his full orange and green outfit. It looks super bright. It looks silly, but it works in that universe.
Aquaman, see, I think that's the thing. Like, Batman could like reasonably exist. The fact that Nolan's like, hey, it wouldn't be like that much of a stress, like a stretch if we really committed to making him real. There's no way that you could ever make Aquaman real, so why not make him insane?
Exactly. And that's exactly what they're going for. Like, you get shots of the trailer of the underwater battles. You got fucking sea dragons fighting giant crabs. I was like, I'm so there for this.
Yeah, I'm into it.
And also
I'm into
Patrick
it now.
Wilson, I love Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson is a great character actor. He is so brilliant, and he won't get recognition until he's like way older. He'll be like Sarah Paulson, like where his Oscar is gonna be like, he's like 80. It's gonna be like the Mark Rylance of Oscar wins. And just like, wow, this guy is so old. What movies has he been in? What, every single one? Oh man, just give it to him, dude.
But yeah, so I'm really happy with this trailer, and I think a lot of people are happy. A lot of people that were skeptical before are pretty happy with it too. So
hashtag me,
yeah, I'm hyped. It looks December is going to be pretty stacked, and I think Aquaman is the one I'm looking forward to the most in terms of blockbusters, at least.
Yeah, that's good. And speaking of movies that really turned it around by giving us more footage, Mortal Engines,
This next Peter Jackson project, which I didn't realize when the first trailer came out, I thought Peter Jackson was directing this film.
He is not.
He's just producing it. Even though they put his name fucking everywhere on all these trailers.
Right, because no one knows it's like Chris something or other, right?
Yeah, he was like a VFX supervisor on the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so he's clearly close with Peter Jackson. But yeah, so this trailer, the premise, I don't know if this is if it fully encapsulates it, but the premise from the trailer is that something really terrible happened to the world, and now all these massive cities like London and Chicago and all these, metropolitan areas are now mobile. And apparently they eat smaller mobile cities to consume the resources and like assimilate the populations. And
there's no way to explain this movie without it sounding insane, and that's why I think the visual elements of it are actually like really working for me now, because
that's what's selling it for me.
Yeah, because anytime I try to explain it, I'm like, oh, it's like Peter Jackson, and it's like these cities that are like cars, but like big cars, and it's like the apocalypse, and it's like, what? Like,
that's what he excels at, though.
Right.
Like, so like if you try, like before Lord of the Rings became like a household name, trying to explain that plot to anybody would be like incredibly confusing.
Definitely,
You're like,
yeah.
oh yeah, so there are all these rings and you've got different races and these rings have power, but there's one ring that has more power than the rest of them. And
Right, like, but what are the power, like, what does it do? And it's like,
yeah,
well,
it's like, what
it
what is the
controls
power?
the will
Like-
of man, and it's like, so it can make everyone do whatever, like, yeah, but it's got to be, like, close and, like, wearing
Yeah.
it, like, it's like, yeah, it's a whole ordeal. And I think that's why, because he co-wrote the script. That's,
yeah.
to me, is what is bringing it kind of together.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I actually, the trailer actually looks good. I think the effects look good, the set design looks good, and I really like the aesthetic this movie's going for. I don't know enough about the plot. Like, I know these are based on some pretty revered novels from, I think, like the 70s or 80s. But I don't know if that plot is going to hold up in modern times. I hope it does, but I just really, I want this movie to succeed because I think it'd be pretty fun to see steampunk go mainstream.
I think it would be great for steampunk to be, especially as a part of this movie, for it to enter like the public zeitgeist of,
Yeah.
like, because honestly, this, when I'm watching it, it looks pretty good. Like, it looks interesting to see.
Yeah,
And I'm
the
wondering-
action looks good. The style looks good.
Yeah, and I'm like, I think the first trailer I saw did not sell me at all. And this one, I'm really,
'cause I mean-
I'm looking at it, and it looks like, I don't know. I'm telling you, I'm gonna like very quickly digress for a second.
Of course.
Is that yeah? This kind of, it's like digression the podcast. Is that a band that I'm very recently into and I'm really like excited about is Brockhampton.
Mhm.
And you know, Rob, I think you know Brockhampton. You know,
I do know
Yeah,
Brockhampton. Who doesn't know Brockhampton? They're not. Burger King is standing for Brockhampton on Twitter right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you know you made it.
Exactly. And I started listening to Brockhampton like a little while ago, and it's like this nice like rap group, and it was honestly one of the first times in a while that I was listening to a band that I'm like excited for in the same way that I was excited for a band when I was 16. And that feeling was so like alien to me that like feeling it again, it was like this weird nostalgic mix.
You forgot you had these emotions within you. Like-
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I don't want to hype this movie up too much because I've literally seen nothing, but I get that same kind of feeling when I'm watching this. I'm like into this in a weird, it's meshing with me in a very like straight from the chest. Like I am melding with this movie for some reason.
Yeah.
And I've seen hardly any of it. And I'm still like feeling this weird way about it.
Yeah. For me, I'm very excited for this movie. One, because I think that like it looks good, and I always get excited when we get like big budget adaptations of like. I know it's not an original IP, but I think it's small enough that most people will think it's original IP.
I mean, it's honestly at this point, if you're adapting like a novel that you know people know about, but like not the regular like.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, do you guys read like the Mortal Engines quartet? And people would be like, stop talking to me, nerd. Like,
yeah.
So I think like that entering that is like, ooh,
yeah, like this isn't like the Hunger Games where like those movies were adapted after they had become best-selling novels already.
Right. This is like a known property.
Yeah. This is like, this looks like what should have been done with The Dark Tower.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But so I feel the same way. I'm very excited for this movie, but I think for me it's almost a little bit more nostalgic because steampunk is one of my guilty pleasures. And like when I was in high school, I was reading like that was the main genre of book that I was reading because I was just super into that post-apocalyptic like we've gone past the apocalypse and we're just like rebuilding from like the Victorian age onwards, but with this crazy retro modern tech.
Yeah.
I love that shit. I love that aesthetic. Like I love the idea of just like airships and people wearing like trench coats everywhere and like top hats and monocles. That shit is so cool to me.
I know you love that shit.
Getting to see this with a budget is pretty exciting because the last time I think anybody tried to make steampunk go mainstream was Wild Wild West back in like 2004. And holy shit, what a disaster that was. But I will admit that is another guilty pleasure movie for me, just because like it's seeing Will Smith talk and dress like that with Kenneth Branagh playing like this Shakespearean villain with spider legs. I was like, dude, what is this movie?
What a crazy idea for a movie. Like I think they were really on the it was a good time when Men in Black did really well. And you're like, wow, people are just like into kind of weird stuff, right? And they're like, yeah, they are. And
like post 90s rush,
yeah, that 90s era, like people were getting into real weird shit, and I was really into it. Like I love like Blade and all those like stupid.
Dude,
like
I hope we're entering that phase again.
Oh
like,
yeah, I want to get weird.
Culture is always
yeah.
cyclical, and like I want to get fucking weird again. Now I hope that like the end of like this first Avengers phase is the beginning of that like segue into weirdness.
Yeah.
And again, I'm afraid that Mortal Engines isn't gonna do well, just because I feel like the trailers aren't good enough yet to draw as big an audience as the studio probably wants.
I haven't even seen them in theaters yet.
Movie.
You know what I mean?
I saw it before. Actually, saw it before Star is Born and Venom.
Really?
So I think they're starting to push it.
I didn't see it before.
I think we'll start seeing more
movies.
closer to December.
I saw that whatever like that bullshit Steve Carell movie, Welcome to Marwen or whatever. Oh man,
yeah,
that looks
that
like hot trash. I'll tell you.
Dude, that movie, like that movie is either gonna be surprisingly impactful or hot trash. And like that, like Robert Zemeckis is not a bad director.
He's not bad, but he's not like, oh, Robert Zemeckis is making this movie, I'm gonna definitely see it. Like,
it's always like from the director of Forrest Gump. Like they don't ever talk about any of his other films. It's always just
it's because Forrest Gump was the only movie that could match that with like his weird tone of like intercutting hilarious like moments like played for laughs and like that huge drama. Like in Flight, you had that weird drug like dealer character played by John Goodman who's like, oh, this guy's drunk, let me give him a lot of coke so he can testify. And it's like, oh my god, like these movies are totally all over the place, and they try and disguise themselves like that makes them really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what that ends up being like.
Yeah. Let's keep speaking of things that we love. Period.
Clint Eastwood. I think we both. I'm pretty sure you're a big Clint Eastwood fan. Man. This trailer, I think, came out of nowhere. I hadn't really heard a whole lot about it.
I'd heard nothing about it.
But the movie we're talking about right now is called The Mule.
Hell yeah.
And it stars Clint Eastwood, directed by Clint Eastwood, apparently based on a true story of this like 90-year-old guy who ends up running drugs for the cartel for familial reasons that we're not clued into yet from the trailer. Mm-hmm. But the trailer starts. I love when trailers start like this. With just a really good tone setting scene where he's just he's looking to the back of his truck and he sees all the drugs he's carrying, and a fucking just state trooper just walks up to this old man and starts asking him questions. And so you're just watching Clint Eastwood try to play it off like he has no idea what's happening.
And then the canine starts barking and the state trooper goes back and he opens the door and the dog comes out, and then it cuts to different scenes of him doing like kind of a monologue. And
the things we do for family.
Clint Eastwood is so good. He is a complete like fucking moron in real life, but he is such a brilliant artist. And that's the only thing I can really speak on is him as an artist. Him as an actor, brilliant. I love it. Most of the roles he's ever played, he's somehow able to make the same character compelling every time he plays it. And his direction is also out of this world. Like Mystic River, $1 Million Baby. You know, you've Unforgiven. All of these movies are at the top of their game. You could show if somebody's like, "Hey, what director should I watch if I want to know what a good movie is?" Watch a Clint Eastwood movie because they are so good. They are good and they're all different genres. He explores so much. And when he's in it, he's always given 100%. And God, he is so good. I am so excited for this movie.
Clint Eastwood, I feel like he's at that level that you can only reach after being in Hollywood and in show business for as long as he has. And not succumbing to like, I guess the vices and tropes.
He is
of
88
show
years
business,
old,
which is insane, and he's still going
Make
for it.
Jersey Boys too. I don't care,
like,
man. Like,
I forgot he did Jersey Boys.
Yeah, everybody did.
Man, though, yeah. What a I can't wait for this movie.
I'm so excited. Bradley Cooper is also in this, and
playing
obviously
like
he's
DEA
got
agent.
like chops. I hope, I haven't even seen it. I'm calling Clint Eastwood Best Actor. He's gonna win Best Actor this year.
You think he's gonna win Best Actor? I think he'll be nominated. I don't know if he'll win.
If he gets nominated, he's gonna win, and if he doesn't win, it's a goddamn travesty.
Yeah, I think
give it to him. He's so old. He's 88 years old.
Has he won any Oscars yet?
Yeah, for like Best Picture and Best Director.
Did he win anything for Gran Torino?
No.
Okay, I was trying to remember, because I thought Gran Torino. I love the premise and I love his performance, but man, the rest of that movie is not great.
That movie is insane. It is.
Yeah, and it's all the Koreans' fault.
Truly, yeah. If that's the moral of the story,
and that's not a racist comment. It's literally the two Korean actors that are in that movie give terrible performances, and it brings the whole picture down.
Whoa!
Yeah, you can't do that.
When he's banging on the screen door, I'm like, almost, dude. You're almost there.
Hey, you're trying for something, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're pretty hyped for this movie. Clint Eastwood, I think, has yet to legitimately let us down. And this may very well be his last film.
He does have trouble with the curve, though.
God, shut up. Stop. We don't talk about that one.
I don't care, man. I like it. I like baseball movies. I
fucking hate baseball movies.
Dude, I love baseball movies. For some reason, they get me because baseball is like.
It's because you like the Cubs, right?
No, it's like, I do like the Cubs, but baseball is the worst sport. Like, we've all accepted it's like, it's so boring, but that's why it's like great, because it's something else. It's. The reason people are playing and watching baseball is not because baseball is interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're doing it because of some weird higher reason that none of us can grapple with.
It's because their dads watched baseball and that's like the only thing that connected them to their patriarchal figure.
Maybe.
That's my theory.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
All right, yeah, my TED Talk. All the negative emotions you feel are from your dad, and also the positive ones too. Hashtag Robert Jr.
Yeah, so we're very excited for this movie. It looks great. And that's about it for the trailers this week. Those are all the ones that mattered. Now we got to talk about the biggest news that just came out today.
This is so awesome. I'm so happy.
When you texted me about this, I thought you were fucking memeing me.
Yeah, you're like, what? And I was like, I got him. Listen, everybody, I don't always get Robert,
out.
But when I do, it's awesome.
You know why I was also freaking out? Is not only is this great news, but I predicted this as soon as James Gunn had gotten fired. I was like, he should go over to fucking DC and either do Suicide Squad 2 or Green Lantern Corps.
I tried to go back in your tweets, but you had like 2,500 tweets, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like,
dude, I retweeted my tweet, and I was just like, I'm a prophet now. Respect me.
Respect the process.
Yeah, but fuck, dude, this is such good news. Not only is it good news for James Gunn that he's still getting these massive properties, it's great news for Warner Brothers DC fans because it means that Suicide Squad can be salvaged. And, the details are still pretty vague on the story right now, but all we know is that James Gunn is officially writing Suicide Squad 2 with an eye to direct it as well. And also, a side note, Dave Bautista, who's been an ardent supporter of James Gunn ever since he got fired, has come out and said, like, hey, I want to be in Suicide Squad 2, which is amazing. Like, dude, if Dave Bautista just, like, fucking trashes his contract with Disney to go work with James Gunn on Suicide Squad 2, holy shit.
What a baller. Oh, my God.
One of the execs is getting fired from Disney if this actually goes through, and, like, it turns out to be fucking great. And oh, my God, watch Guardians 3 just fucking bomb. Watch it be, like, a complete tonal mess. Because nobody knows how to do James Gunn's humor like James Gunn. Oh man, I can't. And I also hear that this Suicide Squad isn't a sequel to Suicide Squad with Jared Leto and Will Smith and Margot Robbie. Yeah, it's a reimagining, reboot, relaunch. I don't know how they're gonna phrase it, but it sounds like they're giving him complete reign over what Suicide Squad is going to be going forward.
Which
what
is do they
perfect.
have to lose? Like,
right?
Honestly,
Yeah.
they should just be like, listen, because they figured out that people will watch their shit. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. It doesn't matter if it's like coherent. So why not just make it like, take that as an advantage of being like, oh, people will watch this no matter what. Let's make something good and make a whole bunch of money and just forget about the last movie. Because I mean, they're still going to have like Margot Robbie and Will Smith are definitely still going to be in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I'm fine if they do that and then they just like recast the rest of the Suicide Squad. I don't need any of those other two.
No, not recasting. They can plug in other characters.
Oh yeah, that's I misphrased myself. Not recast, but just like replace them with other characters. Like, I really want, I know you mentioned Dave Bautista as Bane, which I think would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I want Dave Bautista as Mr. Freeze.
Ooh,
because
with his tiny glasses.
With tiny glasses, yes. And the reason I think about this is because like I think of his performance in Blade Runner, and like he talks in interviews about how like even in Guardians of the Galaxy, like Dave Bautista has an emotional range that nobody expected from this guy. And Mr. Freeze, I think, is the perfect character to have that intimidating villain status, but also that tragic backstory to the point where he can like show that he's a complex human being.
Yeah, I
and
get
not
you.
just like a shit ton of muscles.
Dude,
I'm so excited for this to happen. I cannot wait.
I'm pretty excited.
You know what is funny though is all the news surrounding this on Twitter, or all the tweets surrounding this is people that like I didn't think they existed, but there actually are a couple of them who are like diehard fans for the current Suicide Squad. And they're just like, no, he's gonna ruin it. Bring back David Ayer. I'm like,
No,
what
they're
the
bots.
fuck is wrong
They're
with
bots.
you? Yeah.
They gotta be bots.
It's just Russia trying to sow more discord in the States.
Yeah, exactly. This is like The Last Jedi all over again.
Yeah.
I do think it's hilarious that half the people who didn't like The Last Jedi were all Russian bots.
Yeah, it makes me feel a lot more vindicated when I explain to people that Last Jedi is actually fucking amazing.
Oh yeah.
You're like, you're part of the hive mind. You are Putin's bitch now, so
Yeah, exactly.
take that with you to bed.
Oh man.
But yeah, so good news all around. I'm very, very excited for James Gunn to be getting opportunities like this. And I mean, honestly, I hope that he goes on to become like the showrunner for DC's universe, because I think that'd be great.
Yeah, totally. I say we skip this next news item.
Yeah,
I don't
this
really
isn't
care.
really that big.
And we're running pretty long right now.
Yeah, we got 2 reviews to
We
get
got
through.
2 reviews. Which one should we do first?
Let's start with A Star Is Born.
Hell yeah.
This movie is pretty fucking great. And I know that we were kind of joking about it for a while because, like, you know, it seemed like the perfect Oscar bait. But man, after watching it, it's something special. And I can recommend it without really elaborating on why else you should go see it. Like, you're going to be impacted by this movie.
Yeah. And I wrote in on Letterboxd, my review, I think, was, if you are, the only reason that you'll like dislike this movie is because you're a really cynical person.
Yeah.
And I think,
which I think I am, but I still liked it.
Yeah, no. And I would say like I am as well. But if you're really like digging in on your cynical, like part of your life, you're going to think this movie is trash. If you, and this is such like a weird like generalization, but that I usually do not feel comfortable with, but I feel completely comfortable with like saying it now, in that the first like 45 minutes to like an hour is like a perfect movie.
Yeah.
And
I would agree.
Yeah. And it's, Lady Gaga is so brilliant in it. She's so expressive.
She's getting a nomination.
She really has got all the chops. And she's got a way of selling it like it's been laying dormant inside of her this entire time that she's had this, and we all know it, but she's just like, let me like show it. I am so into that. Bradley Cooper is so on top of it in terms of his singing is amazing. His acting is amazing. His direction is so confident. Yeah. And really like focused. I love the focus on close-ups the entire movie out. It really draws you in. It makes you identify with the characters. It's really brilliant and a really like strong way of filming like concert footage. honestly, I would want Bradley Cooper to film a real concert and be like, I'm going to like really get these guys. The fact that like the full like close-ups is like, look at these people. You're seeing their emotion. It's really about them and how they connect with everybody else by really expressing themselves. That's what is so brilliant about the movie.
Bradley Cooper should direct the Imagine Dragons documentary.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think the performance is like, there's not a single performance in this movie that I can really criticize. And even like Sam Elliott, who I didn't realize was going to be in the movie, playing Bradley Cooper's brother / like manager. He was great.
He's amazing.
I mean, Sam Elliott's like always great, but man, and that dynamic was interesting. And the thing is, I wish I had gone onto this movie having seen either of the Star Wars Born previous films.
See, I'm glad I did not, though. Yeah.
But I feel like it's... I wanted to know... I want to go back and watch those films now because I want to know what Bradley Cooper did, like what story beats were his own and which ones were just echoes of the framework that he was working within.
It is a lot of echoes, but like, and that's almost the beauty of it, is that it mashes like all of the remakes have been kind of like a similar vibe, but then like it managed to evoke the same feelings that the other endings and stories provided, but in a new way that made it like satisfying.
Yeah, and I'm interested too that, or about the fact that the original Stars Born from the 1930s was about movie stars instead of musicians.
This is actually like the fourth remake. Yeah, it was 37. They had the Judy Garland version. Then they had the Barbra Streisand, Chris Christopherson version, and now they have this version. So,
and it's going to be remade in the future. I guarantee it. Although I bet you,
I don't know. I feel like this one is so good that you don't.
This one is good. I think it's probably, according to critics, the best of the three. But I was just thinking that in the future, in like another, 30 years, we're going to see this remade, but it's going to be about like Twitch streamers instead of musicians or movie stars.
Yeah, it'll be something crazy.
I feel like you could honestly make a compelling story of like two Twitch streamers falling in love and then going through the hardships of fame and drug addiction and like the freedom that celebrity affords you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, so this movie's really good. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say that it is. I was not familiar with the story of A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
And it is darker than I thought it was going to be. Like the trailers, when I initially saw them, I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be like a good romantic film that probably like criticizes stardom and how like Lady Gaga is the character that we're going to identify with as she enters this world of fame with Bradley Cooper. But it's so much more than that.
Right. And I think that's kind of the only thing that I will give away is that when you watch the trailers, it seems very like hammy. Like he's saying all this like, oh, like,
yeah, they take the cheesiest parts of the movie and put them in the trailers.
Right. But they're only cheesy out of context. In context, what you have to
it totally works.
What you have to realize is that he's hammered. Like,
yeah, that's another thing. He's either hammered or he's like just snorted a rock of coke.
Yeah,
like,
it's like when he's like, hey, and she's like, what? It's like, I just want to take another look at you. Like that line only works because he's hammered out of his fucking mind.
Yeah, because he's completely shit-faced.
Yeah, and so really go into that like mindset. If you're being like, oh, it seems so cheesy, like it is not in the ways that you think it is. It is a little cheesy, but it works very well. I think this is a really good movie. It drags a little bit,
Yeah,
if the first half is a lot better than the second half, but the first half is really, really good. Second half is pretty good.
The second half is pretty good, but I think the second half is when it becomes truly eventful.
Yeah, it becomes
and that's
weighty.
when it starts to struggle with the pacing.
Yeah.
But I also like a couple nitpicks here and there. My main nitpick is I think that it's funny that Lady Gaga, don't get me wrong, Lady Gaga did a great job and I think she was great in this role. I just find it kind of funny that they try to use that framework of like, oh, this character is extremely talented, but she's just not pretty enough to be a pop star. It's like, if that were true, why cast a pop star to play this person? Like, I don't believe, like, all of the dialogue, all of the scenes where she was talking about how, like, oh yeah, people thought my nose was too big. I was like, okay, I don't know about that, because you are a pop star and you're also like already pretty beautiful. But again, it's
right,
a nitpick.
yeah,
That didn't ruin my immersion in the film at all. And she does a great job. And the soundtrack that I'm pretty sure she wrote with Bradley Cooper is amazing.
Yeah, and I think it is maybe a part of a difficulty of watching this movie as a man, because I think personally, like, we're all very, when she's like, oh, like, people always told me I wasn't good looking enough, we're all like, yeah, no, you're totally beautiful. Like, we like know this. It's like, it's hard to like to deny. And then the reading that I would assume, which is completely based on me, and please send all of your complaints to Brian Williams, care of MSNBC.
Yeah, we haven't sent a mail in a while.
Yeah.
He's kind of getting lonely.
Yeah, exactly. He's emailing me all the time, and I really don't like it. So,
hey, man, I miss your complaints.
My point is that I think for women watching it, for a girl to be like beautiful and told she's not beautiful is a much more identifiable character than it is for men. You know what I mean? Because there's no like, when guys are told like, oh, you're not like good looking, people like, you're kind of like, oh yeah, but you got this other like stuff. You're all this, you know, look, they kind of accept it more. Where like a girl, it's like, or, you know, if someone was to tell them like, oh, you're like ugly, people would rally behind her and kind of be like, no, you're not, like, you're beautiful, all this stuff. So it doesn't even like,
yeah, nobody tells men they're beautiful.
Yeah, exactly, because it's just like not how society kind of works. So to me, I could see that playing better to a certain part of the audience than, you know, I could tell like, well, I think she's beautiful, but that's totally kind of like,
and again, this is like that. I mean, that's how you frame every film criticism, is like within the limits of what your view is. Exactly. So I guess that's what the limit of what my view is like, I've never had anybody tell me my nose is too big. Right. Because I have an Asian nose. So, but what it reminded me of is, funnily enough, the trope that I saw most recently in like Power Rangers of like, the girl who's like clearly a fucking supermodel, but like she's bullied by like the other hot girls in school, and then she cuts her hair, and then everybody like notices her. She's like, oh fuck, she's hot now, and I'm like, dude, what? Yeah, no, that's not.
It's like a weird way of displaying like beauty dynamics, which is, I mean, oh my god, yeah, what an ordeal.
Yeah, and again, it really has very little impact on the movie. It's just a basic setup as to why she wasn't famous yet, I guess. But I don't know. The other critique I had of the film, we kind of went over it, was that in the second half of the film, the pacing gets a little choppy, and I think that it is, her rise to stardom feels extremely rushed. But I can see why, because I think that her rise to stardom isn't as important as the fallout of her eventual status, which they focus on a lot more in the latter half of the film.
Yeah, really. It's really about kind of like getting her there, and then the way that influences all of the characters. Like it is really like establishing a new precedent. Like the first part of the movie, it's really like two different like films. It's one storyline. Once that's completed, it moves on to a completely different storyline. You could have made
this 2 volumes,
and it is like, it's like a stark contrast.
Yeah, it was just a little jarring, because I think it's like 10 to 15 minutes between the first time that like she sings in front of a massive crowd and then like she's on SNL.
Right.
So I'm just like, that happened really quickly, but I get why it had to happen quickly.
Yeah, exactly. So how would you, what are your final thoughts on it? What do you think, like film or flick or?
As a film, I think it's pretty great. I think the writing was great. Performances are great. Cinematography, while I don't think it was that, it didn't seem as notable as other films. Like, I don't think this is going to win like best cinematography or anything, but I think it's clearly the intent is there from Bradley Cooper. And I think it works very well. And like, there's nothing offensive about it.
It worked very well with everything else.
As a flick, I think you could make the argument for enjoying it if if it wasn't as heavy as it was, I think it'd be an easier watch. But the soundtrack is so good and so like upbeat and so like infectious that I think you could argue that this would be a good just like chill out and watch film as well. If you like, I don't know, maybe skip the final 15-20 minutes or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think
I recommend it on both fronts.
Right. I think I'm the same with you in the terms of like film. You can obviously tell a lot of talent is going into this. It's really making it a cohesive project for a flick. It's got music, like it's got stars, it's got heart, like it's got a cute dog. I think it really gets the job done on both fronts. And what freaks me out is that this is the type of film that can really win Oscars because everybody will like it.
Yeah.
And
it's like it's exploding at the box office. I don't think anybody was expecting it to make 40 million opening weekend.
Yeah, and it's only going to get like really good word of mouth. Like it's only going to increase,
Yeah.
So it's like, I was telling my mom, like, hey mom, you're going to love this movie. And she's like, all right, I'm going to go see it. And I'm like, there's very few instances when my mom will trust my opinion for like movies. It's like, oh, I like this movie, and she'll be like, I don't know if that sounds good. Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Did you get them to go see Venom?
I never will.
You're trying to save them from that?
There's just no reason. Like, I would not recommend Venom to anybody, I feel like, because it's not like a movie that needs to be seen.
No, it's not. But a lot of people are seeing it because, man, it's breaking box office records.
It's already made like its budget back. Like globally, it's made over like $200 million.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so in case anybody wasn't aware, the second film we're reviewing this episode is Venom.
Tell me about Venom.
So Venom, if you're not familiar with comic books at all, is Spider-Man's pretty much arch nemesis. He's like a big black muscly version of Spider-Man. And he's the whole premise of him, his superpowers come from an alien symbiote that falls to Earth, bonds with somebody, and then just like causes them to get crazy superpowers and super strength and also eat people. And this new movie from Sony stars Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, who becomes infected and bonds with the symbiote Venom, and he becomes like the anti-hero of the city. And I'm pretty sure it's San Francisco. And boy, that's like the story to this film, because there's not a plot in this movie.
It is a movie that hinges entirely on Tom Hardy, and Tom Hardy is so good.
He's so good. He's like, someone was tweeting about it earlier for the press screenings, but they were comparing him to like 90s Jim Carrey. And I was like, you know what? That's pretty apt. Like, he gives a good Jim Carrey-esque performance in this role.
Off himself, yeah.
Yeah, and like, I don't think any, like, the trailers made this, like, the buzz surrounding this movie when it was first announced was that it was going to be like a hard R in the style of like Logan and Deadpool type superhero or anti-hero film. But as we got closer and closer to release, the first trailer they put out didn't even show Venom. They just showed Tom Hardy screaming. And then like they started coming out saying like, yeah, it's going to be like a sci-fi horror film. It's going to be super dark, really violent. But then once they started doing press screenings and they announced that the PG-13 rating had been approved, everybody, all the producers and directors were like, yeah, we don't know why anybody thought this was going to be rated R.
Because they're trying to capitalize, they're trying to get that like crossover, which is like so stupid. Like,
yeah,
if you're a Sony executive,
franchise.
Literally like walk into the ocean. What a like an idiot. Like,
yeah, like you had such potential here. You could have had the next Deadpool on your hands with this film.
Like, it's literally, oh, I get you like money, you idiot. Like,
yeah,
but why?
But like, that's the thing is like those movies, like I feel like they're not risks anymore. Like Deadpool, Logan, those are both box office smashes. Like they made a shit ton of money.
Deadpool 2 made more than Mission Impossible 6. Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Like really, like
God.
a Tom Cruise helmed like huge franchise tentpole that's PG-13 was messed by a untested property in its second round. Like, what are you talking about? R-rated movies make money. They just have to be good. I bet you the drop off for Venom will be insane.
It's going to be, because the word of mouth is fucking terrible surrounding this movie. But you know what I realized, though, after watching the opening credits for this? I knew exactly why they initially started off as like saying like, oh, it's going to be R, it's going to be edgy, it's going to be violent. At some point in the production, Sony decided to partner with a Chinese production company called Tencent Films. And as soon as I saw that they're like, oh, it's a Chinese produced film, there was no way it was ever going to be R as soon as they signed that deal. Because China has extremely strict censorship laws when it comes to violence in films. But the thing is, like you said, globally, this movie is doing, like, even domestically, it's doing gangbusters, but globally, it's massive. And I was looking online at some of the ad campaigns that they're running, and they're running a lot of ads for Venom in China as well. But, like, the tone is completely, like, the tone is so much more lighthearted in China for this movie than it is in America.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of comical.
Because it is like a funny movie, you know? Like,
this is a comedy.
Yeah, it's definitely like painted that way. Like, it's not like as much as it wants to be like a horror comedy, it's way more trying to be a comedy than anything else.
Yeah, and that's what, like, it feels like Tom Hardy is the only person in this movie that knew he was in a comedy, because like everybody else plays it so straight and it's so boring and generic. But anytime Tom Hardy and Venom are on screen, I actually had like a decent time with this film.
Yeah, like in the like him playing off of like the voice being played like in his earpiece, like it's so funny. He is so dynamic from every like scene to another. He's wild. Like you can see that like look in his eye, and he's like, "Oh, I'm doing crazy stuff, and I'm totally into it." Like I'm really about him exceeding my expectations. Like I don't know what he's going to do scene to scene, and it's so interesting. That's why Tom Hardy is a very good actor. Whenever you're seeing him, he's somehow inhabiting the role so well that he's doing these off the cuff, like weirder things, but it's playing into the character so well.
It's so crazy to think too that this is the same actor who played Bane in The Dark Knight Rises.
He is a great actor. It's great to it's great to just watch him be, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's one of those guys.
That's the only reason that I'm happy that Venom is getting a sequel, is because like I enjoyed his performance so much in this film that I would be willing to watch another one. Also the fact that like okay, minor spoilers, but also this movie is really kind of shitty and like there aren't really any big revelations.
Yeah, what could you spoil?
The post credits scene with Woody Harrelson.
Oh, as Carnage? Yeah, what a hilarious wig.
Yeah, oh my god. But I'm excited to see, like, again, Woody Harrelson is another fantastic actor, and I think it's going to be super entertaining to watch him ham it up as, like, a fucking superpowered serial killer.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm pissed that, like, is the sequel going to be rated R? Like, if you make a fucking PG-13 Carnage movie, I will stop. Fuck that.
Because
you
that
can't
whole
do that to
end credit scene was, like, way more intense than, like, a lot of the movie. Like,
his performance was intense. He was, like, writing his victim's name in blood.
Yeah.
Like... but it seems like it'll be a good time to watch Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson play off each other with superpowers. Hopefully Venom 2 is an improvement. Hopefully it's rated R. They do Carnage justice. I don't think it's going to happen, but I can hope.
No, I think I'm going to be cynical for a second. I think Sony is like a shit movie production company, and I think they're really going to ruin this. I think it's going to be another like PG-13 like hack job, and they're going to try to really capitalize on the MCU, and it's a really stupid direction for them to make, and I hope they turn it around. I don't know what could possibly convince them, but I really think that they're going to completely screw it up.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be like I thought this movie to begin with was like as bad as The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
It's only better because of Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy gives a better performance, a more entertaining performance than anybody in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Or Amazing Spider-Man 2. But yeah.
Alfred Molina is amazing.
Yeah, Alfred Molina is amazing. I like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. James Franco is hilarious in those films. But But yeah, so this movie overall was the only thing I can praise is Tom Hardy's performance. Like the action was a jumbled mess. The special effects were questionable a lot. Apparently, they cut out 40 minutes, which Tom Hardy called his favorite 40 minutes of the film, which I would be curious to see. Like if they release a director's cut, I would probably get it just out of curiosity.
Oh yeah, because you can tell they like cut out a lot of the violence.
Yeah, and like this movie's edited to shit. Because you can see there are scenes where like people's heads are bit off and then the body just disappears in the next scene.
Yeah.
And like fuck, I forgot what. There are scenes in the trailers for this movie that are more violent than the actual scenes in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can tell that they rushed at the last second to get this down to PG-13, and it's super disappointing.
Yeah.
And I doubt even if it was like if the 40 minutes, I want to know how good they actually were. Like if they could have elevated this film beyond what it was. But man, the only other thing that I'm really getting a kick out of from this movie coming out is all the queer subtext that people are reading into.
There's
for the
definitely
relationship.
queer subtext.
It is a queer coded film for sure, and I love it. And I want to believe that it was intentional. And like, if you watch the movie, I feel like you'll know exactly what scenes I'm talking about, especially when Venom eats his own ass. But
yeah, totally.
Yeah, totally.
My favorite mid-credit scene.
I couldn't have asked for a better post-credit scene.
Woo.
But yeah, Riz Ahmed played the villain in this, and I think that he's a villain that could have been entertaining. Like he could have been a complete parody of someone like Elon Musk, but instead he's just generic rich bad guy.
Yeah.
And like Riz Ahmed is a good actor. He's a talented guy. Michelle, what's her name? Michelle Monaghan?
Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams. Who's Michelle Monaghan again?
She was in True Detective season 1. She was Woody Harrelson's wife. She's also Tom Cruise's wife in Mission Impossible.
That's her. Okay. Yeah, Michelle Williams plays Eddie Brock's love interest, kind of, even though by the end of the film, Venom is a much bigger romantic partner to him than she is.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it doesn't end with them like getting back together.
Right. And honestly, there was like an interview that like she was talking about where like about the reason they kept pushing this like weird story where it's like, why did you take this? And it's like one of her stories was, oh, like I went to the director and I'm like, I know my character can't be wearing like a #MeToo shirt, but I want that to be the vibe for the character. And the whole time I couldn't stop thinking about that like quote. And I watched this movie like, what are you talking about? Like, this is like,
stop trying to jump onto Twitter trends just so that article will be mentioned in the next moment.
I'm like yeah, she breaks up with her boyfriend for a legitimate reason. Like other like than that, like she's very regular person. Like,
yeah,
not
regular person we know nothing about. We don't know what her motivations are. We don't know the motivations of any character in this film, honestly.
Except Eddie, he wants to find the truth.
Eddie's all about the truth.
Yeah, and Venom doesn't want to go back to his planet where he's a nerd.
And Venom just wants to do what he wants. Oh god, oh my god. And then the Eminem Venom song they play during the credits.
Oof, yeah.
I ordered another drink from the draft house as soon as that started playing. I was like, I need one more before I get out of here.
Yeah.
Venom.
Oh boy. Yeah. Like, what a rough. Yeah. Oh, Eminem. What a please.
It's just a product. Like this movie is just a product.
It is. Yeah, truly. And that's a great way of putting it. Really just like meant to put butts in the seat. And I'm upset that
it worked.
Yeah. No, like I'm upset that people are seeing it because I don't know why they're seeing it.
Because I think everybody has a little bit of hope. Everybody's like, maybe it's not as bad as the critics are saying.
And
like,
it's not. And I think that's what's like, critics should have been a little bit nicer on it. Because now people are like, oh, it's got like a 36 on Metacritic and a 23 on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, and like, there's totally wrong. When it's like, it's honestly it's kind of entertaining. Like, it is like a kind of entertaining movie. It's just like overall an unsatisfying experience.
Yeah, like if you're shit-faced and you have Movie Pass, or like if you have friends that are putting this movie on, or if it's on like, FX or HBO, watch it.
Perfect.
You're probably
FX
gonna
movie.
have a good time. Yeah. Better than Justice League, I'll say that. But oh man, this you feel completely empty by the time you walk out of the theater.
Right, yeah. It is like having like a lot of fortune cookies. Like you're just like,
Yeah, fortune cookies is a meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts. As a film, there's nothing remarkable about it. As a flick, the only remarkable thing about it is Tom Hardy's performance. Which again is good. It's fun.
Don't pay to see this movie.
Yes,
that's my film
agreed.
and flick. Like as a film, like literally all of it's garbage. Tom Hardy is good, but you don't like watch Bronson instead. Like there are other Tom. If
there are
you've seen
significantly better, crazier Tom Hardy movies.
Yeah, if you've seen every Tom Hardy movie, then you're gonna see this one. If you want to see a really good Tom Hardy like appearance, go watch Bronson.
Yeah, Bronson's on Netflix too.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Watch that shit. Watch Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Like there are movies that he's in that you haven't seen. They're great.
Fuck, just go watch Inception again.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you want to, you fucking normie.
Inception is an amazing movie. I will stand by it so hard.
Inception is good. I'm a Christopher Nolan stan.
Yeah, we all love Chris.
Everybody loves Chris.
Yeah, everybody loves Chris. As a flick, really don't pay to see this. Like if it's on HBO, like check it out. If you're like, I want something that is like garbage, skip like half an hour in and start watching it. Like,
yeah, the best thing I can see coming out of this film is that Venom becomes like a queer icon.
Yeah,
because I think that'd be amazing. I don't know if you've seen it happened a couple years ago, but after the Babadook came out, did you ever see the Babadook, that Australian horror film?
I still have not seen it, but I've heard it's amazing.
It is really good, but for some reason I don't remember exactly why he became like a queer icon. So like at all these like gay pride parades, you would see people dressed up as the Babadook, but like just with like, gay paraphernalia like around them. And I'm just like, I don't know why, but I hope that the same thing happens with Venom, because Venom actually makes a little more sense, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. He's in love with himself.
Exactly. Eats his own ass.
Yeah, there you go. Groundbreaking.
It's a
2018.
beautiful scene. Again, look it up on YouTube. You're going to be enlightened.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I think that's it. We ran a little overboard on time because we digress.
Right, as we do.
But yeah, next week you got a couple more films to look forward to. What are we reviewing next week, Dan?
Next week I think it's gonna be another double feature.
I think it has to be. I feel like a lot of weeks upcoming are going to be double features with all these award movies coming out.
Yeah, we've got the Bad Times at the El Royale.
I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that as well. And then we've got the Oscar.
It's a shoe-in for a win.
It's a shoe-in for something. It's The First Man, the Neil Armstrong story, directed by La La Land and Whiplash director Damien Chazelle, starring
Damien Cheez-Its, my favorite director.
His semi-recent collaborator, Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong, and Corey Stoll as Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah.
And
Emma Stone is playing the moon.
Yeah. She's the moon of my life, man. But yeah, so I'm excited. I'm gonna see The First Man in IMAX. I am
too. It looks like it's the first movie to come out in a while that deserves it, aside from Ready Player One.
Yeah, and I love pilot shit.
Pilot shit. Me too, man.
Like just like being in like the cockpit and like the rumble of it. Like it's such an intense experience. I've heard.
Oh yeah.
That to see that replicated in a movie theater, that's worth seeing.
Yeah, my favorite scenes from Interstellar were the wormhole scenes, where just the whole fucking theater shaking and the screen is widening. Like, man, what a movie. But yeah, it's going to be a good week next week. I think both these films are getting way better reviews than Venom, so.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so that's about it.
All right.
If you want to follow us on the internet, you can visit our website, viewinganglespodcast.com. It'll be the first thing that comes up if you search Viewing Angles Podcast on Google. Got that SEO on lockdown.
Hell yeah.
Follow us on Twitter at Viewing Angles. And if you want to follow me personally, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Letterboxd at Robert Jr. Jr. If you want to follow Dan, the gorgeous bee host, they can follow you.
They can follow me at The Dan Leo Show on Twitter. They can follow me on Letterboxd at my username is DLeo. And yeah, that's about it. Don't follow me on Instagram. I don't want that. I don't post ever. Like, you don't even care. So
that's a lie. He posts every hour.
Every hour on the hour, a picture of the clock.
That's some avant-garde bullshit. Ooh, are you Banksy?
Yeah, I'm better than Banksy. I'm Picasso.
Jesus.
Is that name been taken yet?
Well, thank you for listening. I hope you listened on Spotify, our new favorite streaming platform.
Oh, yeah.
We love that green icon. Sorry, Tim Cook.
Sorry about it, but Spotify just made it a lot easier.
Yeah. Next stop, Tidal. I hope you're listening, Kanye West, Jay-Z, and Beyonce.
Hell yeah. All right. So let's wrap it up. All right.
Yeah. See you next week.
See you next week, Beauty English.
Bye.